Hello, my name is Karol Reyes and this is my audience. This is my father Rudy, my sister Carla, my mother-in-law Eliana, my grandma Ana, and my mom Lourdes. And behind the camera, it's my brother, Nathan. Okay. So we should start. So, have you ever thought about a place where you can hike in wildlife reserves, where you can swim through the second largest coral reef, or you can visit ancient Mayan ruins? A place like that might be determined as a paradise in online magazines or such. However, these are just a few of the characteristics that make Honduras a great place. I today want to speak to you about Honduras. It is a place where I lived for 19 years and I loved it, so I want to share about it all I can to you. I want to share with you all about it. So I would like to talk to you about its culture and its people, its history, and of course its scrumptious food. So first, let's start talking about its people and its culture. Who are they and what do they believe in? Now, culture is really a tricky thing to define. In Honduras precisely, there are many subcultures that make up the great big picture of what Honduras really is. So Rebecca Painter, the writer of Our World Honduras, she reported that 90% of Hondurans believe themselves to be mestizos. That is, a combination of indigenous and European descent. Now, regarding what they believe, spiritualism and religion are two musky terms in Honduras. Honduras doesn't really have a national religion, however, it is mostly Catholic. According to Nick Marshall from USA Today, 97% of Hondurans report to be Roman Catholic. However, that number is reduced by the amount of Protestant evangelical churches nowadays. Now, regarding the spiritualism in rural Honduras, there are other traditions. For example, in New Year's Eve, people create a straw mannequin that they set on fire to signify the passing of the year. In other places, the Holy Week or Easter, it's a week-long celebration. Now, another characteristic that also makes Honduras a wonderful place is the rich history that it was built on and that now surrounds it. Honduras is a place, according to Janet Gold, the writer of Culture and Customs of Honduras, that has great history. Its history spans as far back as the Mayan civilization, and it also goes through the country's struggle as a Spanish colony and eventually what gave it the name of the Banana Republic. The Mayan civilization in Honduras left a great heritage. Copan Ruins, or Copan Ruinas, is one of the places, according to Janet Gold, who has had the most thoroughly investigated archaeological area in Mesoamerica. Also, in her book as well, in Culture and Customs of Honduras, she also explains how this contributed to the diversity of Honduras because the Spanish people that came to Honduras, they mixed with the indigenous people and they created several different ethnicities, as we can see over here. There are the Chortis, the Mosquitos, the Lenca, Pech, Tolupan, and Garifuna. These are all different ethnicities that were brought in. Something else that also, this was from descent from Mayan culture. Now, another thing that also helped to that diversity was the marriages mixing of Spaniards and Hondurans. Thomas Leonard, in History of Honduras, describes how in 1524 the first Spanish colony took place in Honduras, and nearly 300 years later the country earned its independence. Now, regarding the nickname of Banana Republic, that is because Honduras has a fertile land that is very apt for banana growing. So back in 1889, the United Fruit Company was created in Honduras. This created thousands of jobs for thousands of Honduras, and the mass exportation of banana is what earned it its name as the Banana Republic. And even later on, when the company's tactics didn't seemed very favorable to the laborers, and they were actually being unethical and treating them bad. That also led to another part in history that was very interesting, and it created the very first major general labor strike in Honduras. This lasted months, and although the laborers' issue was resolved, the nickname prevailed through time. So even now, when we have not exported that many bananas anymore, we still maintain the name of the Banana Republic. Now, the country, as we have mentioned, has an amazing cultural heritage. It has amazing archaeological sites and beautiful places. That, of course, brings in many tourists. And what do tourists like the most other than visiting interesting places, getting to know about history, and learning about new cultures? Well, of course, to eat Honduran food. So I also wanted to talk to you about Honduran food. In Honduras, the foods are hearty, varied, and full. Usually, a Honduran person would eat a baleada for breakfast, which is a flour tortilla with refried beans and cream, pastelitos for lunch, which is usually the strong meal, which are just folded corn tortillas that are deep fried and have beef and rice in it. And then for dinner, it would be a typical meal. Over here, I can show you a little bit about those meals. We have the baleada, el pastelito, and the cena típica. And then for our holiday meals, we also have the tamal. Now, Nick Marshall from USA Today reports that Honduran food is very similar and has ties that are very similar to Mexico or in other Central American countries. And that is true because our staples, their basic food staples, are the same. We use the same raw material but show it a little bit differently. And that is the case with the tamal. I'm sure you have heard about it regarding Mexico's foods. So we have the same, but it looks a little bit different. For starters, it is a seasoned dough that inside it has meat, it has peas and rice, and it is folded in a plantain or banana leaf and boiled. To Hondurans, this is the equivalent to Christmas cookies. So just like in the United States, in Christmas time, you go to your neighbors and you give them your Christmas cookies. In Honduras, we go to our neighbors and give them tamales. So, in conclusion, Honduras is a complex and beautiful country. It has the culture that many nations wish to have. It has the history that brings in archaeologists, anthropologists, and it also has the amazing food that makes them want to stay. Honduras is the best place to be.